This episode of AFA is brought to you by these patrons: Bobby Sassel, Mel Aquino, and Gemma Scott. You guys are champions. Thanks for your donations, and keep up the good work. Wait, shouldn't we keep up the good work?
This is Christopher Walken, here to warn you that this contains some explicitly foul language. And if you don't like that, then I'll put my foot in your throat.
The soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah.
The visuals are very, well done. And, the gameplay is super fun. And, because those three things are there, it's exceptionally good.
I could do it in a heartbeat and make millions, but it would feel like just gouging my soul out.
Yeah. Jurassic Park's a little more like DDR.
If Shrek is a fairy tale creature, can he actually own land and want to kick them off? Where did that come from? You have to make a lot of shit up to make good art.
Yeah.
That's just the truth, buddy. Hey guys, welcome back to AFA Art for Artists podcast. I am David, creative director, lead writer, founder.
Extraordinaire.
Marvel, really. I'm here with Ben, as always.
Mm-hmm.
We have no guest today either.
No,
this
no
week.
guest. Well, I'm the guest.
Well,
Just no
yeah,
co-host.
no. Yeah, fuck you, Sam.
I'm in the... Why isn't Sam here? Is he just lazy?
He's busy. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He's fucking probably drawing, I guess.
Probably,
I don't know, whatever it is that he does.
Doing
He's
real life things.
Yeah, probably drawing Hendrix, actually.
Mm,
And we're working on chapter 5 at the moment, so.
cool.
But yeah, so today, a bit of a departure from usual. I promise it'll still be ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, we'll go on many tangents.
Oh, that's my favorite part. I was listening to
podcasts.
I was listening to the one where we talk about porn this morning.
Oh god, was that the Shrek one?
Yeah. Actually, really interesting. I was listening to
if you're
it,
into porn
and I was like, wow, Sam has some really interesting opinions about this. And then just
strong
us
opinion.
being funny trying to be funny and just being dickheads the whole time. And him trying to address serious issues.
Yeah.
And we're just like,
yeah,
tits.
boobies.
It's great. Yeah, very funny to just listen to us be assholes.
It's great.
Not funny, haha, funny, weird. It's like, oh, that was a bit rough. But yeah, so we kind of wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about, Ben has just been shoehorned in.
David wanted to talk about this.
Yeah,
but
because
instead
I
of just
feel like
talking about it, he's gonna make me.
I'm gonna make
do it
you.
instead.
I'm gonna make you tell me to
Ask
talk
you,
about it.
yeah.
It's gonna be transparent. Yeah, right. You guys are gonna think that it was all Ben being interested.
Yeah.
Secretly, he's contractually obligated.
I wish I was contractually up there, because then I'll probably get something out of this.
Oh yeah, when you get your 25 cents, you do get something out of
dude.
this. You get your name on everything that we do.
Oh man, all those followers rolling in. I'm getting for that so far.
One day.
The
Look,
dreams.
I'll start. Obviously, that's a pretty good point to start with. Is where the first run that we did of this and how you became involved. Preface: we can't talk about the first artist that we had legally. So
What one?
it's good that you don't know. Good that you don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't remember that one.
Okay, so we did an initial run. So basically, what we do is DCM Works.
Yeah.
Digital and Creative Media Works. Also happens to be my initials and Works.
No,
What?
I'm not letting that pass. So, this guy over here, he's had the, I guess, tag DCM I Hate Pie
For years.
for, just as long as I've known you. It's been that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's-
no, literally since
always been
grade, since I first got email.
Yeah. And,
So.
it's a pretty dumb name. It's, typical fucking...
Pretty consistent handle, though.
Yeah, but then friggin' DCM works. So the DCM is just your initials.
Yep.
It's David something McNeil.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will confuse me first. I'm like, wouldn't it be DMC? As in, David McNeil.
I get that in typos a lot because
Yeah.
it autocorrects DCM to DMC like Devil May Cry.
Or
So I get
yeah.
hi DMC a lot in emails and texts. and
Isn't
stuff.
DMC a rapper?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
where I think
okay.
DM
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, me fucking nerding it up over here. Sorry.
So yeah, but then DCM turned into,
Well, DCM became the handle
yeah.
because you don't say the whole thing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
hi guys, DCM here.
Yeah. And now it's digital
DCM works,
creative
right?
media.
I think that's pretty slick.
I mean, it's like people who make up. It's like Shield. How they made the name first and then found the acronym for it.
I really lean into it so
Yeah.
hard. They were like, Shield, what does it stand for? I don't fucking know.
It's just shield.
What does shield stand for?
I don't know. But it stands for something.
Let's find out.
It's like, it's something dumb. So,
Shield. I don't know what it
so
stands
that's
for.
the origin of the name, I
Oh,
guess.
well, the name, well, yeah, I mean, originally it was going to be DCM Works, because my brother, many years ago, was like, oh, well, like, there's no real good way to, like, distribute art anymore. Like, novels are kind of dying. It's really hard to make money out of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's like...
Hard to make money out of a lot of things that are artistic these days. You
Yeah.
sort of just have to go the free route until someone, like, contracts you, pretty much.
Okay, so the acronym originally stood for Supreme Headquarters International Espionage Law Enforcement Division. It was changed to Strategic Hazard Intervention Espionage Logistics Directorate. And then in the Marvel
worse.
Cinematic Universe, it's Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. That's a fine name.
Yeah, that's alright.
Strategic Homeland Intervention makes sense. It's in America. Enforcement and Logistics Division again makes sense.
It's like, I watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E. like 2 days ago.
Oh,
It's a good film.
is that a remake from the TV show?
Yeah, it's a remake of the TV show, which I haven't seen, but
Oh.
I'm gonna watch it.
Is the film good?
Because the film's really quite good.
Oh, awesome.
Like, it's a dumb spy film.
That's Henry Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Superman and some Russian dude.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
That guy, whatever his name is.
But, like, the movie's pretty good. Like,
TV show was great.
yeah, it's got, like, yeah, it's just a dumb spy film. And it's, like, it's full of tropes. But it's, like, it's done
fun.
well. So,
It's fun.
yeah, it's entertaining.
I always hate when people are like, no, like it's just
So cliche.
It's totally
just
boring. It's like, yeah, but it's still
If it's
fun.
consistently cliche and
If
like,
you enjoyed
fun
it,
to watch,
who
then,
gives a
like, I
shit?
don't really mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like people do that a lot with writing and like story in general. Like, oh, it's full of cliche, and it's like, yeah, but cliches
Yeah,
exist.
cliches exist for a reason.
They help. Like, it sticks to the wall. It makes it easy to follow. It doesn't have to be dense and obnoxious.
Yeah.
It's like when people are like, oh, you shouldn't use stereotypes. It's like, no, your life would be impossible without them. Could you imagine going into like Target and someone in a Target uniform? You're like, oh, I'm just going to assume that they're probably not an employee because I don't stereotype. Right? Like, that's what that is. People think that stereotyping is this evil
Yeah,
thing.
there's like bad stereotype.
Well,
there's like racial stereotyping.
No,
things
that's
like that.
still just stereotyping. It's just the context you apply it in.
Yeah, I suppose if you go into an Indian restaurant, you'd expect Indian food.
You would expect Indian food. Like, that's not racist. It's just... It helps
odd.
you function and not
It's
go
nothing
insane.
that a lot of
It helps you not go insane.
Tumblr would go like just get a fucking aneurysm
Oh,
over that shit
yeah.
if you pointed that out.
But
that
it-
Indian restaurants serve only Indian food.
No, you would
So
expect it to serve
stereotype
Indian.
them.
There's a difference. You would expect it to serve Indian food.
Yeah.
But, like, it just... Stereotypes stop you from going mental on a daily basis, trying to process everything you ever see.
Yeah, good point.
So, like, if you see a dude in a taxi driver's uniform, you assume he drives a taxi at some point for a living.
Yeah.
And that he may be able to drive you to a place. And if you get in and you're like, hi, take me to blah, and he's like, just because I'm in a taxi, fuck you. Like, no, that's insane. No one can live like that,
Yeah.
right? So stereotypes exist for a
I mean,
reason.
no one drives around in a taxi uniform.
And you have to
in a
start...
taxi.
I don't know, maybe.
Anyway,
But you have to start from somewhere with every character.
yeah.
So you always start with a stereotype.
Fair enough.
So you're like, he's handsome, and... So a good
Or
example
an
is...
archetype. how they're called.
We call them archetypes, but archetype is also about personality.
Oh, okay.
So you combine a stereotype with an archetype.
Okay.
Sorry, you combine a stereotype with an archetype. So one of the characters we have is Detective Morgan. And Detective Morgan is this like young, he's really ripped, like he's jacked as shit. He's this young, he's Hispanic. I can't think of exactly where he's from in Mexico, but he's Hispanic. And he's really, really good at his job, but he's quite headstrong and reckless.
Yeah.
Stereotype, young Hispanic male, good looking. Archetype, headstrong, reckless young guy.
Fair enough.
Those two things... Oh, excuse me. A bit burpy.
Been burping this whole time.
Right? So those two things, they give you a sense of who he is initially, and then as you progress, you get to know him more and more, and then you realize that he's obviously more than that.
Yeah.
But that's how you meet people in real life, right?
Okay, let's stop arguing stereotypes.
No, we're
You
not
win.
arguing. We're not arguing. I'm
No.
just saying. It's not even an argument. That's all I'm saying, right?
All right.
So, how do we even start talking about stereotypes? I don't remember. We need someone that's taking notes on how we start conversations because we are so
Minutes.
fucking spacey.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? I didn't even know what we started on. Oh,
No.
the previous run that we were doing
Yeah.
was where we started, and then I don't know how we got to stereotypes. Fucking knows. So we did an original run of DCM Works.
Yeah.
where you were voice acting
I was voice acting.
the novels.
Wow, surprise, surprise.
So long ago. And we were like, oh, this is a weird thing that we could try and do. And I didn't really know how to run a business yet because I'd only just started my degree, and I didn't really know how to write very well.
I didn't know how to maintain time as well.
Yeah,
so.
Ben wasn't great at time management. It was really hard to get anyone to do anything. We didn't have any money behind it. It was just tough.
Mishmash.
But what happened is so we had that up for
There was
about...
a game in there somewhere as well.
Yeah, the game actually was a really good idea that we will do one day.
One day.
When you've got your chops
Maybe
in
when
the
I know what
studio.
I'm doing
When you've got a
as well.
studio and
Oh,
we've got
okay,
money.
Yeah.
No, like when we have... Well, that's
Yeah.
one of the... Something that I want to add in eventually to the Patreon is we're going to make a video game that goes with what we're doing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we had this original run, and we didn't really get any traction initially. But there was about a week, and this would have been... I did the first round 2013. So it would have been a week about the end of 2013, where we went from getting like 4 or 5 page hits a day, just through like search engines and
Yeah.
Facebook and stuff. We got about 10,000.
Wait, Jesus, when was this?
It would have been December.
2013?
Yeah.
I don't think I was with.
I don't know. It might have been 2014. I can't remember. I can't put my years together in my head at the moment.
Yeah.
But it was the end of... Oh, it might have been the middle of the year, actually. I can't think it was the end of the year or the end of the financial year. It doesn't matter. But a few years ago when we first did it,
Yeah.
we got no traction. And then, like, literally one day we just got, like, 10,000 hits.
That's weird.
And it was like, oh, that's cool. And they're just all this ad revenue because we had a few panel ads on the site or something. And it just went from, like, 0 to, like, all this ad revenue at once. And my PayPal account got locked down because we had too much money coming in. And I had to deal with that. But then I was like, oh, people want this. And it was shit. Like, I just want to clarify. If you liked it back then, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't great. Compared to what we're doing now, it was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Like, we have proper microphones now. I have
These things.
we have a guy who we pay to mix audio. I don't even do that for
Really?
the audiobooks, yeah. We have a composer, Foley guy. Like, it's all a thing.
We have numerous artists.
Yeah, we have digital artists, numerous, actually. We have 3 at the moment. I'm trying to get a 4th.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I did the initial run, had this, like, burst of interest, and then I was like, oh, well, we can do this, but we have to... If we want to do it, we have to start on the professional foot.
Yeah.
So I shut that site down, and I was like, boop, down, gone, disappear off the internet. It's kind of like if you're a stand-up comedian and you put your first ever stand-up show on YouTube. It'd be awful, right? So I was like, no, take that shit down. So then I was like, I've spent basically the time since then. So since about 2013. 2013 was when I had the idea. Because I had the idea. We were on holiday. I had the idea when we were on holiday.
I remember, yes.
Yeah,
No, that's
'cause
all
we were
coming
watching
back to me.
Pokemon.
Yeah, that's exactly... I remember exactly that... Yeah, so okay. Yeah, I'm in this now.
Yeah, you remember?
I know what's happening.
You remember? Yeah.
I remember exactly.
So we were on holiday together, and one of our friends, whose name I won't say because I don't know that she...
Who was it?
The white one that doesn't help.
The
The white one that you weren't dating.
white one that I wasn't dating.
Yeah, she was dating a older Hispanic guy.
Oh, Bethany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time it took me to be like, huh? Yeah. I was like, wow, that took me way too long, didn't it? I should have got that immediately, right? I was
Yeah.
like, who the fuck is Beth?
Yeah.
It sounds too much like one of my ex-girlfriend's names as well.
Oh, God.
That was why it didn't...
You're like, what?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Word document that I started then, and it says that the...
Wait, so what did she do?
So, we were watching Pokemon.
Yeah, we're watching the second movie or something.
No, it was like, we had like the whole first season of the show, I think.
Oh, yeah.
On a hard
It's just
drive.
like running just on the TV constantly.
Yeah, because like we were playing
Because we
video
were
games and
bored,
doing other
yeah.
shit and drinking, whatever. It was just on the TV because they're fucking lame.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not that good. Like, I was like, I remember this being much better. It'd be really interesting if this was a little more realistic because like you wouldn't just let a 10-year-old run around with a dragon in his pocket or whatever. And she's like, yeah, you would think there would be like people that would deal with that professionally that would like do that for a living.
Yeah.
And then just like this thing happened in my head. I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, oh, what if there was a body of legislation and a government empowered body that legislated who could have what Pokemon?
Yeah.
And then who decides that? And then what is illegal? And then what isn't illegal? And then what does a Pokemon crime look like? And then it just all happened in my head. And I was
Then
like,
you spent the whole rest of the holiday writing.
and I was like, oh, I have to do this. And I wrote the first chapter that night. And then I was like, oh, yes. Like it just made sense.
And then a year later, the same thing pretty much happened at another house. Spent the whole time writing. And we were talking about Digimon as well.
Did it?
Similar happenings.
I thought...
I just remember there was a lot of riding that you were doing at both those
It does sound
holidays.
like me.
Yeah.
I'm really boring. It's mostly what I do with my time. But so that was... I had this idea. And literally, like, the first dot point I ever made, I'm looking at it right now, it says, Bureau of Investigations, who specialize in Pokemon-related crimes. So perhaps the Pokemon League is embodied and empowered to do this by the governments of the world. And the Pokemon League becomes this multinational organization that has within each country arms of its enforcement that deal with different things. So each country has its own Pokemon League branch. Because as we know in the games, each region has its own Pokemon League.
Yeah.
So it already made sense from like a geography perspective. And then I just made each region in the game an area in the world. So like...
So you put Sinnoh in China.
Sinnoh was like China and Japan and that area. And stuff like that. But
And
then
then
I
the
was...
ones which are just like so obviously France and things like that.
Yep.
Were France.
Where everyone is wearing a beret. And you're like, I wonder where this is from.
I wonder where this is. And there's a giant
they're
like
all eating baguettes.
triangular statue in the center of the city.
Yeah, there's a
lights
just
up.
different enough tower to be not the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. And
So that
like
was-
the dog Pokemon is like this small yappy little thing, and
definitely
it's
not
literally called like, what do they call dogs in? Like what's the noise that dogs make in French? Like in English, yeah, they're like yap.
I don't know what it's called though.
Well, in English it's woof, and in French it's something else.
And the dog is like called that.
Yeah, and the dog's like
Yeah.
called that. You're like,
It's
wow.
not even fucking stuff.
Yeah, it's like called. Yeah, it's like the equivalent of just calling a dog Pokemon woof.
Yeah, or calling a cat meow.
Yeah,
So
which they did with Meowth.
oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
What?
Meowth.
What the fuck?
You realize?
Wow!
Oh my god.
I'm so deep into Pokemon at this point that
you
I don't
don't
even
realize,
notice stuff like
those
that.
really
That's
dumb
crazy.
puns. Yeah.
Oh man. Fuck.
Oh my god.
I mean, Porygon is a Polygon. That one I got.
Yeah.
I didn't Meowth, man.
Machop, because he chops.
No,
things.
that I'm fine.
That's obvious. Good.
Yeah, so I have these dot points from when I first started, and they're not very coherent, but it was mostly like conceptual ideas. So like, Team Rocket are basically like the mob.
Yeah, the mafia.
So like,
It's what they're like in the
yeah,
games.
but
Anyway.
so Giovanni is like this international crime syndicate powerhouse.
That's what he is in the game anyway.
And then
He's
I was
more
like,
region specific, I guess.
and so then I had this idea of I was like, well, what would give rise to this requirement for classification? Like usually when stuff like that happens in real life, when something gets classified, it's because there's a conflict,
Yeah.
right? So like someone shoots a bunch of people, they outlaw guns.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Someone shoots a
they
bunch
should.
of people, they should outlaw guns.
Yeah. That
Because
should outlaw.
it's really
guns.
not an argument.
When someone shoots people, Australia outlaws guns.
If-
the US doesn't.
If you're not okay with our opinion on that, we really just don't want you listening anyway.
Yeah, just
so
go away.
you can fuck off. Nothing against America. Like you can do what you want.
No, I don't like it.
But if you think that gun control doesn't work, you're actually wrong. Empirically, you're incorrect.
You're wrong. It does work because it has worked.
Because you know how many massacres have been in Australia since gun control?
Big old zero.
Big old zero. Gun control works. But yeah, so I mean, arguably you can still get shot, but that's in Call of Duty. It's less serious. You know.
God.
Or you can get shot in Spec Ops: The Line, then it's really serious. It's fucking tie-in to last week. Fuck you,
Which
continuity.
was actually about 20 minutes ago.
No.
What? No? Okay.
No. Illusion.
Illusion.
Through the power of editing, this will come out a week
Power
later.
of the internet.
I did mention before that we were doing one after the...
Just put this over what I said, which was a week ago. Just put
I
that over
was
what
going to edit
said.
that really well.
Yeah.
You guys won't even notice. You won't know what we're talking about now, because I'll cut that out as well. But
Oh my god.
you'll just be really confused. But yeah, so that idea, I was like, well, it would have to come from some conflict, right? Because legislation like that, to that extreme, because if you think about, I was taking it to be that the world is as it is at like the end of the Johto season. So 10-year-olds running around with dragons in their pockets and like all this shit, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, how would you go from that to a system of legislation?
You'd have to branch off from that, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, so how does that happen? So that's where we split our history. So I picked this very specific point in time, and I was like, that's where history changes.
Yeah.
So in our version of events, basically like, and I will avoid story spoilers, but the lore stuff you can read on the websites. There's a big page of it.
Yeah.
It's all voiced and stuff. You can listen to it if you want. And there's other stories around it as well. There's like side stories and cool stuff. And we have some other really interesting side content coming with it. So short stories taking place in different time zones and eras and stuff. But I was like, well, how would this world actually how would you get from this point where everyone has Pokemon to a point where like you could have a department that specifically is like the Pokemon police. So they go around and they solve Pokemon-related crimes, right?
Yeah.
Because that was like the idea that I was like, I want to have this character who works with that division, but who is outside of that structure. Because I wanted to satirize that noir trope of like the personal investigator who's like beyond the rules.
Yeah.
I'm not held back by my badge, you know?
Yeah, who like he like quote unquote works with the cops even though he's not a cop.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense because that's not how the world works. But,
It's not how law enforcement works.
No.
You can't have a civilian on a crime scene, even if they're a contractor.
It's called, what is it called? Vigilante.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sherlock Holmes, basically. It's
Vigilantism,
that
which
Sherlock Holmes fantasy.
Yeah.
It's kind of the Batman fantasy as well, to a degree.
Yeah, but like movie Batman is different to
I was thinking about comic Batman, where he's buds with Jim Gordon.
because the movie Batman he's actively chased. And trying to be
Well, in a lot of the comics, that's how it starts, and then eventually they become buds.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I was like, how do we get from there to there? And I was like, well, you would have to have a big conflict to institute that kind of change.
Incident, yeah.
So there's what we refer to as year zero, which is like the incident. So I talk about it as year zero, but like irrefutably Sam refers to it as the incident, just to piss me off. But basically, I was like, well, what would happen if you were Ash, right? He's 10. You're this Pokemon prodigy. Like, he is a prodigy in this world.
Yeah.
He's not just a good battle technician. He beats, like, the most insanely talented trainers in the world when he's 10.
Yeah.
So I was like, what would you be like at 15? So I went back and looked at Justin Bieber when he was 15. Right? And I was like, what dumb shit did he do? And he had periods where he just did, like, the most crazy, insane shit.
Yeah.
Like, videos of him smoking weed and shit. Like, really dumb stuff. Where he made some bad decisions. And I was like, what kind of a bad decision would you make at that age, in that position, if you had a dragon in your pocket? And I was like, oh, you'd probably kill people.
Yeah.
So that was where this idea came from. And so we take 15-year-old Ash, and we give him psychosis from... So, well, he doesn't...
Casually give him psychosis,
Well,
alright.
he develops it through this... Because if you think about it, you're like... If you're 10, you leave home, you get given creatures of amazing destructive power.
Yeah.
You turn out to be a prodigy using these to hurt other creatures of destructive power. You're allowed to do whatever you want, because apparently 10-year-olds can do that in this world.
Yeah.
Your two friends, for some reason, support your insanity in this quest. And, like, what would that look like? How would you change? And the answer is you'll probably get this, like, weird power complex and eventually develop this psychosis where you think that you're literally, like, unbeatable. But he could never beat Gary. That was one thing I always, like, latched onto. I was like, he never beats Gary until, like, they bring Gary back in a later season and he eventually beats him because Ash is, like, learned.
Oh, God.
But, and in our timeline, he hasn't beaten Gary yet.
Yeah.
So his one goal in life now is to beat Gary.
Does he kill Gary?
No. So he's fighting, basically a trainer challenges him, and he's like, if I can beat you, then that's like, it's kind of like in Yu-Gi-Oh! When once he becomes the king of games, everyone wants to battle him to become the king of games.
Yeah.
So, like, Ash has won all these tournaments and stuff, and he's beat all these people. So, like, if I beat you, I'm this powerful, you know. Similar kind of thing. Again, making fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they do that a lot, where they're like, I want to take on the king of games! Or, like, what are they? They give him a different name after Duelist Kingdom, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
World's best duelist. Whatever it is.
Stupid
Similar
shit.
idea. So a young trainer, like a 10-year-old, challenges him, and Ash enters into this psychosis where he thinks he's battling Gary. And he just goes nuts and has his Charizard kill this child. Really rough.
Wow.
We're doing a comic of it as well.
Oh, Christ.
And it's really brutal.
Joy.
I'll show you a picture. We were doing concept art before, and we had this picture of Ash. And we finished drawing it. I was like, wow, he looks crazy. And then I watched Sam get out, like, the red color palette, and I was like, no, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just putting blood on his face from the blood splatters. I was like, oh, God.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, it's pretty intense. But basically, Ash gets thrown into jail, and it sparks a debate about Pokemon control and trusting them to 10-year-olds. That seems insane.
Yeah.
So in a knee-jerk reaction, basically, like, the league decides to take action. So they decide to... basically, people are outraged that this Charizard has done this, and they're like, Charizard are dangerous, we have to stop them. So the knee-jerk reaction is they go to the Charcific Valley, which is where all the Charizard in the world come from, and they just gloss it. So they just sterilize the area.
Jesus.
So they effectively try and wipe out Charizard.
Yeah. It's not a genocide reference at all.
No parallels at all to any kind of reaction from any large government body when one thing goes wrong.
Yeah.
So I just winced for those of you listening. I feel like I should point that out. And then some protests start in Goldenrod, and things get out of hand. Then eventually there's conflict and there's fighting, and like non-violent protests become extremely violent all around the world.
Yeah.
And things just go bad generally everywhere.
Yeah.
And eventually the league goes, we need to like take away these crazy powerful dragons that can fireball cities and shit.
Yeah.
So they start to outlaw certain Pokemon and take them into custody. And this is what develops like the registry of Pokemon. So you have to everyone's Pokemon is eventually registered, so they can track your Pokemon and your balls and stuff like that, and they can know when you use them or what you use them for. So you have a very limited availability of Pokemon after these incidents.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of the first war, and so we call them the incursions because in the TV shows, the Indigo Plateau, there's an episode called Indigo Incursion, which is where Ash goes to the Indigo Plateau, which is the Pokemon League in Kanto. It's in the first season.
Yeah.
And you talk about the Indigo Plateau, and the Indigo Plateau is what it's called. And then there's an episode called Indigo Incursion, which is where Ash, he's in the cave. What's it called? The Victory Road.
Victory Road.
And he's having trouble staying not crazy because it's so difficult to get through.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's what we'll call it. So that they were the incursions. It sounds weird in an Australian accent. Incursions. So there's the first incursion. There's 4 of them. Basically, there's 4 significant wars that take place over a 30-year period that get you from everyone has dragons in their pocket to lots of Pokemon are illegal, and there's now departments that deal specifically with Pokemon-related crimes.
Yeah.
And then I was watching, I think it was April Fool's the previous year or the year after, but there was that April Fool's for like the I think it was IGN that did it maybe or someone like that. It was a trailer for the Auras, which was a TV show about like the Auras from Harry Potter. And like a procedural crime drama set in the Harry Potter world about the police department chasing down bad wizards.
I think that was IGN. Because IGN did the Legend of Zelda movie trailer. So like in terms of
They do really good April Fools that should be real.
I think this other one was dumb.
No, but the Auras one was fucking awesome.
I don't know if I've seen it.
No, it's basically like a typical noir thing. Like
Yeah.
it just looks like a trailer for True Detective or something.
Yeah.
But
It's
like
Harry Potter.
cool, right? And like really gritty. But so yeah, we kind of had that idea for like that. I watched that and I was like, yeah, I wanted to have these novels be around this detective who's like gritty and stuff. And I was like, but what if he's really, 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 really bad at his job? Like, what if he's just not a great... like, he's an okay detective, but he's terrible at fighting and shooting. He's a really bad Pokemon technician. Like, what if he's an awful trainer? And these tools that these Pokemon that he can't really use well.
Yeah.
So that was where the idea for this character, and then eventually it became this... like, I was able to fully fledge the novel, and it became more of a thing. But the big premise is that, like, he's just gritty, like, he's, like, gritty and, like, dark. But he's fucking awful. Like, he's just bad. And so Brock...
So this is Hendrix.
Yeah, so Hendrix is the original
Is this
character.
different to old Hendrix? Because old Hendrix was like consistently good at his job.
Same character, but completely different. The novels are
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah.
They've gone through, like... We're on draft 29.
Jesus.
So, yeah, it's a really long
Because the original
process to get a
cast was
novel
like
done.
definitely different from that.
Well, he's very good at being a detective, so he's good at working stuff out, but he's really bad at everything else.
Yeah.
So in the current one, like, he gets shot at a lot and, like, gets beaten up a lot.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he works directly with Brock, who now runs the Department of Necessities, which is a body of the Organization of Prenatural Legislation. So the Organization of Prenatural Legislation is, like, the government-sanctioned body that deals with registering Pokemon.
Yeah.
So they have all the records online and stuff. And the Department of Necessities is the law enforcement branch of that. So, like, the police of that department. So, when someone gets killed by not natural causes, so by a Pokemon, they go and investigate and find out what happened.
Yeah.
So, that's, like, their job. And Brock runs that department. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, Gary's widow now owns the Pokemon League, because Gary's dead.
Yeah.
With
Right.
specific consequences, and other people have died in the course of the war. And then you've got, like, Denzi Volkner. So, Volkner, the gym leader.
Yeah.
It was like this. He's like really good with technology and solar stuff. So in our world, he's just a billionaire who's like solved renewable energy,
Yeah.
and he's a complete douchebag as well because he's Hendrix's age, so he's only like 30,
Yeah.
but he's got like kabillions and jillions of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting character to play off as well. But like the basic premise kind of came from that idea of like, well, how would you get to a point where you could actually legislate it, and then what are the consequences of that, and then playing with the expectations for that. So there's even stuff like they end up fighting this faction called, they're tentatively currently called Red Wall. We don't have a better name. Because they build this,
Did they build a red wall?
it's not red, but it's basically like they take all of the onyx left in the world. That's gonna show up. That's a big. It looks like looks like a snake on the audio.
That's a pretty
Ben touching his microphone.
yeah.
But they built this. They used the last of the onyx in the world, and they melted them into this giant wall.
Oh Jesus!
So they just like
Can you melt rock?
Oh
yeah, melted rock is lava. Yeah.
Yep. But they basically make onyx extinct to build this wall
Oh, that's
that
gruesome.
they then all live behind, and they have like it's like a gypsy settlement for a while, and they become this like fully fledged city, and the league is like, well, how the fuck do we deal with the fact that they basically created their own nation and there's stuff with that, and then eventually that falls, and then you get to modern day, where there's lots of stigma about people that look like they're from Redwall and like kind of like racism and stuff, and then like lots of stuff with gypsies where kind of mirroring a lot of the racism which is happening now with particular races with them. So they get stigmatized as like terrorists and stuff because that kind of thing. So interesting to play off and have like characters immediately suspect that it was these red gypsies because they become known as red gypsies. It's like a derogatory term.
Yeah.
Because they're just fucking people. But they're like, oh, red gypsies. Like, oh, fucking, oh, it's probably red gypsies, you know. So yeah, that's kind of where the idea came from. And then I realized about a year ago that I could actually do it.
Yeah.
Like it stopped becoming theoretical, and I found an artist. That's Sam. Scott is our lead vocalist for the audiobooks.
It's replacing me.
Yeah, well, it was just you're at a point where you weren't able to do it
Yeah,
consistently.
no, I got to a point where I'm like, eh.
Yeah, and Scott is he's done a lot of audiobooks previously and lots of audio experience, so good setup. We got the studio was almost half done.
It's like
Yeah, Ben keeps funneling the panels because they're really soft.
they're really nice.
They're really nice. I haven't even hung them straight yet. Like they're just on their little
they're just kinda
stickers,
wonky.
which is fine.
Yeah.
It does all the same job. It just doesn't
Works.
look as neat. But yeah, and then with the Kickstarter, not the Kickstarter, sorry, the Patreon, they're really different.
Yeah.
So the Patreon is really because I didn't want to do a Kickstarter because I feel like Kickstarters are like
Kickstarter's
we're not like doing a product.
yeah.
It's more we want to do this thing and we want to
Consistently.
we want to make what we're doing into this like hub for artists. So we have people come in and work for us. And then if you want to hire an artist, you go to DCM Works and you go to artists that have worked for us or people we recommend or whatever. And you can find artists because it's really hard. What I've discovered trying to put this together is it's really hard to find artists that know what they're doing, so professional, know how to actually accept work, so will actually work when you ask them. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I do commission work. And you ask them for a commission and they just don't do, like they just don't work. And you're like, well, why are you advertising commissions? You know?
Yeah.
And then people that you know are actually going to do the work, so you can see that they've worked for someone before and they're not shit.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to find. So I was like, what if we use DCM Works to help provide that?
Yeah.
So people come in, they do art for us. Maybe they do audio stuff, maybe they do this or that. And then you can go to the site and you can find their details and you can contact them and you can see the stuff they've done for us. So you know that they can actually complete a job and you know that they're actually going to be able to do that. So kind of trying to become a hub for people that are trying to get their foot in the door of the industry as well.
Yeah.
So if you're a writer, you can come and do some short stories for us, and then we'll do audiobooks and stuff, and you're published, and then you can try and get other... So trying to get that foot in the door for a lot of people as well. And producing a hub where you can come if you need to find someone for a project, and you're sick of just, like, people flaking out all the time. Because that's just the worst. I spent so much of my time searching for people who just... don't do the work, or they don't want the work even though you want to pay them for it.
Yeah.
That's actually the worst thing, is when you find someone who's a really good artist and you're like, I will pay you this money that is more than your advertising. They're like, no, I don't want to. Like, why?
It's kind of their choice, I guess.
Yeah,
In a sense.
no, but there's a point where it's like, if you don't want specific work, or if you want work, advertise that you want work. But if you don't want work, don't advertise it, because there are people who are seeking out people to work for them.
Yeah.
Don't have time for your... It'd be like if I put up a fucking job ad on Seek
Yeah.
to come work here, and then when you applied, it was like, nah, we don't actually have a job. We just thought we'd waste your time, right? Like, it's just really frustrating. And after about 200, my patience is gone.
Yeah.
Like, 200 emails, I'm like, fuck, if someone else, I will scream. So it's more of a volume issue for me.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't have time to email you if you're not going to actually do the job.
So what's like the end game? It's like dream goal.
Well, dream goal is that we make the first novel, and we make enough money through the Patreon that it's sustainable.
Yeah.
And then I dial back my hours at work, and I do this 2 days a week.
Yeah.
So 2 full days a week working this, as well as weekends. I already work weekends doing this, basically, and writing.
Yeah.
Jesus, I work like 7 days a week. But yeah, so as much as this is work, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not fucking watching Netflix or hanging out. Like I'm producing stuff. So the goal is 3 days of normal work a week, and then 2 days of this, and then eventually scale it up to the point where we're a decent production company. So we want to do the podcast. We want to buy a new table, actually have a set. We're going to have a camera because we've got people that have those skills on the team. And kind of ramp it up to the point where we're producing a chapter a week of the novel. When we launch the first novel, it will be a chapter a week until the novel is done. Yeah. So it's about 30 weeks of content. 2 podcasts a week. This is currently. So the AFA and then the D&D one.
Yeah.
The D&D one will be less frequent just because of time constraints.
And D&D is hard to get through.
Yeah.
Or get people to.
I think if we find a rhythm, it's one of those things where, like, after a few sessions, it'll be a lot more enjoyable. And then after that, so, like, the end goal is to do that every week and just continually ramp up the amount that we're making and keep adding people and get to the point where, like, we can come in on a Tuesday morning, work for 6 hours, and that's, like, a work day.
Yeah.
Doing, like, producing content that we'd like to produce for people that like to consume it.
Yeah.
So I guess the end goal is what we're doing now, but just more of.
There's more of it.
Yeah, because like a lot of people are like, oh, well, what's the point of your writing? Like, what do you want to do with it? It's like, no, I'm already doing it.
I'm already doing it.
It's like
the point of my writing is to write.
Yeah, the fact that I'm doing it is the point of it. And I guess something else that I really want to do is build that network and build that hub of artists who are going to be able to engage both with our content, work within our universe to help us expand what we do, but also get them in the industry. Because it's really hard to get published.
Yeah.
And if we can get to the point where we're big enough that someone being published by us means that someone else is going to recognize that they're published, that's kind of where I want to hit, so that those people can then go and do what they want to do for a living. Yeah. So if you're a writer, you can write something for us and then go and actually get a job at a magazine or get a job doing landscapes or whatever it is that you want to do. You can then do that.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
But I mean, like, the end game is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Like this kind of thing.
Fun.
Fucking around.
Yeah.
It's like producing stuff that we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
That's not going to drive me insane like my 9 to 5 does. Like,
jeez, yeah.
Like if I could do this.
My 9 to 5 is uni.
Yeah.
Moment, which is fun.
That's my 5 to 10. Is uni.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. I basically don't have days off anymore. It's great.
I have too many days off.
Yeah, we should trade. You can have some. You can have some of my work days.
I mean, as long as I get paid.
No. But yeah, so I guess that's the end goal, is to keep doing this, but do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And more consistent, and keep adding content. I have this crazy idea for this other novel that I've been working on within the same universe. That's like set in rural China, years earlier, so like 200 or 300 years earlier.
So same universe.
Same universe.
Yeah.
And it follows a character who's like so it's a play on The Witcher. So it's this character who's a monster hunter, but the monsters he hunts are Pokemon.
Oh, of course.
So it's like this total recontextualization of Pokemon as being these tools to this time when they were actually literally monsters that would fucking kill you. And him going through and like also playing off a lot of the Pokemon lore inconsistencies. So like there are characters in Pokemon who can live forever.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah.
So I was like, well, what if you had like this line of monster hunters that were immortal that would then go and hunt these creatures, and that was like what they did for a living.
Yeah.
Based off that part of that Pokemon lore.
That one part.
That one character who's can live forever. Because it's interesting to fuck with that shit. Because like I really like messing with stuff like that and being like, oh well, why did they include that? It's so tonally different.
And it's just
everything they've done. Yeah, and they keep trying to retcon stuff that they've done. And like the latest Pokemon movie, the Mewtwo, I don't know if it's the latest one, but the Mewtwo voice actor is female. I know that Mewtwo isn't gendered, but in the first Pokemon movie, he sounds like Earl Jones. Like he's like
super masculine.
He's like yeah. Like he sounds like a fucking
really
anime villain, right?
Yeah.
And the new one, he sounds like he's a female voice actor.
I mean, Mewtwo is considered genderless.
So their voice.
Just use he.
So the way that they argued it is that they had a previous movie that retconned the first Mewtwo, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's
where Giovanni cloned like a bunch of other Mewtwo's or something. I don't know.
One of them's female?
They just tried to retcon it. One of them's female. I just don't remember. They had a previous, and they just tried to retcon the whole first film. I was like,
first film's the best one.
Fuck me. Yeah.
First one was fabulous.
It was a little cheesy. They had
exactly.
What was it? They had was that 90s Christian rock band who had that song in it?
Oh god.
Uh,
Hillsong?
Huh?
Hillsong?
No. Blessed Union of Souls.
What the fuck?
Uh,
That sounds like a cult.
Right? Blessed Union of Souls were a 90s Christian rock band, and they had Brother, which was the song that plays on Ashes Stone.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
wow. That
right?
song.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They're actually a Christian rock band.
Oh god.
They're actually a really good Christian rock band.
Those words don't go
As far as
together.
90s Christian rock bands go.
okay.
I mean, not to say they're a good band.
Like, not in terms of just music in general.
They're not terrible. They had some other good stuff. They had some really big songs.
Oh, okay.
They were not bad. They just were not great. I don't want to diss them too much because they have done some good stuff, and it's nice that there are people making music out there for people that don't want like, they want that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy for Christian rock to do their thing. Like I'm happy.
Just
I'm like
stay away from my music.
I'm like you stay away from my rap,
Yeah.
but you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know.
Few giant fucking mega churches.
Yeah. Just like keep.
God, those things are huge.
It's like, look, I don't mind that you do your Christian rock. Just keep it away from my strange rap that
Yeah.
I enjoy. Like I don't want you ruining my shit.
Don't ruin Death Grips.
No, don't ruin Little Dicky or something. Don't do that shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else that is significant to talk about. But I guess the only other thing that's probably worth mentioning is that ideally I'd like to have. So the goal for anyone listening, the goal is to have the AFA every week.
Yeah.
So
far.
It
is.
I mean, that's not that hard to maintain for
Yeah.
us at this point. It's just every 2 Friday nights we do 2 podcasts, or
Yeah.
every Friday night or whatever. And then the D&D one will be a bit different because we have to, just because of the way that by nature of the game, we'll have to record it in big hits. So that'll be a little harder to do if our schedules don't match up
Yeah.
frequently enough. But we can probably manage it. We'll do like one big session or something. Like there's a way that we can manage that. But that'll be that'll be really fun. Like,
oh yeah,
D&D
so fun.
is honestly one of the most fun things.
Yeah.
If you've never heard of it, if you've never listened to it,
You need to. I think you'd need to like, sort of understand a little bit about how the game works.
well, we have a newbie who's going to come and play, so they'll
Oh,
be
okay,
learning
yeah.
with you. They'll be learning with the listener, so you can kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we also play a slightly outdated version of the game, which helps as well because it's way less complex.
We also don't follow the rules, like at all.
Well, you don't. There's not
we
really.
really don't.
Well, we kind of do.
We follow like we don't follow like the really pedantic rules.
No, we follow the fun
we
fun
follow
version.
the fun rules.
We
Yeah.
follow the version where it's fun, but it's still challenging.
Yeah.
And you guys can have a good time without it being like,
Yeah.
I draw my sword. Well, you got to roll to see how well you do
Yeah.
that. It's like a lot of stuff. I'm happy to
Be like,
that.
I draw my sword, and you'd be like, you can't move now. Be like, what? It's like because that's your move action. Be like, but like I
Yeah,
do
so
it
you
while
spend-
I'm moving. It's just like you can't do that. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what the fuck?
Some of the stuff like it didn't make any sense.
It's just like you had to draw your sword before the fight happened. It's just like, well,
like, I
okay,
didn't know it was-
I drew my sword before this
like,
fight
no,
happened.
it's too
just like,
late.
can't do that.
Yeah.
You're like, you fucking wanker.
So I mean, we play our version of it. That's a lot more.
Yeah,
It's not as laid. It's not super laid back, but
it's just laid back.
it's
more casual.
It's more enjoyable. To
Yeah.
be honest. So that's. I mean, look forward to that. I love.
It's like playing Skyrim, not
Oh, but there's no
like,
rails. You
it's-
can.
well, what's another game that's like super. I don't fucking.
You're
know.
about to say Fallout. You.
Yeah, but it's
You're
not
like it's
Fallout.
like Fallout.
I'm thinking Fallout like 1.
What's D&D like? I don't know. It's really not like anything else.
Well, our D&D is like super casual.
our D&D is more like a
like
Telltale.
Skyrim,
It's
not
more like a
Rogue.
Telltale game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I make you guys do a
Correct.
lot of talking and
Yeah, we do
conversations.
fucking
We don't do a lot of
talking.
combat because it's not that exciting.
Combat's A, it's tedious, B, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, combat's
It goes
really
for a
hard.
long time.
So we tend to like condense combat into smaller portions.
And like a lot of like
Lots of actions.
contextual.
Yeah,
Like,
so it'll be a quick
environmental
fight. It'll be a
stuff.
quick fight, but it's all about like
So they'd be like, you can fight them or you can just like drop this tree on them that'll
Yeah,
kill them in
which
one
is
hit.
way
You're like,
more
I'm gonna
fun.
drop the tree on
you're
them.
like I'm not drawing my weapon. Let's drop the
Yeah,
tree.
like I think
it's-
there was one fight where I forget what campaign it was, but I was playing. We started in the bar, and the first thing I did was just buy like 10 drinks, and I stole all the cups.
Why?
And we were really low level, and I was playing my soul knife,
Mm.
which at low level has like no ranged attack.
Oh, was that the Mills?
It was Millsbury.
The famous Millsbury.
So
you
we
guys,
came up-
he's
we
still
came
in
up
the
to this
universe.
situation. This was with a DM who was kind of like really serious and like took the rules really seriously.
Oh god!
And
Was this the Millsbury first appearance?
No, this wasn't your campaign.
Oh,
This
this
was
is
at
someone
uni.
else's. I
Yeah,
was
this
gonna say
was
that
at
sounds
uni
nothing like
with like
me.
people who knew how to play the game.
Oh
I'm just
god,
like this
it's no
rando
fun.
here.
Yeah.
And we came in this situation. There were like these guys who ambushed us from the trees, and I rolled the highest initiative, so I moved before the guys in the trees did.
Classic
They're
D&D,
like, "What are you
by the
gonna do?" And I'm like, I throw a cup at them, He's like, what? I'm like, I got like 10 cups in my inventory. I'm just gonna like throw them at him. He's like, all right, and I rolled it. And he's like, yeah, there'll be like 1d3 damage. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I rolled like a 20 on the
nice.
throw, and he's like, you hit him, and he falls out of the tree and dies immediately. I'm like, yes,
Yes, cups for days.
yeah.
And then
And so for like
I'm guessing
the
you
first
spent the rest of the campaign throwing cups.
throwing cups, yeah.
Awesome.
When I got my throwing knife, from then on, I would just spawn a cup and throw the cup instead of a knife.
I remember the I remember the various tea
I was like,
incidents as well.
I was like, can I have like weapon proficiency for cups? And he's like, if you want.
And you're
I'm
like, why
"Yes."
wouldn't you?
Weapon proficiency cups.
That character though was one of my favorites.
Oh, he's so much fun.
I don't know what it was about Millsberry.
It's because he's just so dumb.
Well, yeah, but he's also like it's
Obnoxiously strong.
he's really dumb, but he's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about him I fucking love.
and just
It's a great character.
Just the class selection is like perfect, even though it's like sort of really different.
Literally on point. That
Yeah,
character
it
is the perfect
lets him
combination.
just walk around with no gear,
So he's
so he
basically.
looks useless.
I don't want to spoil it too much because he does appear in the
he's
campaign that we'll be doing.
He's not a playable character.
No, but it's because it's the same universe
Yeah.
that we've been working on for the last 4 years or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's the next. So basically,
okay.
like to fill you guys in, we've been playing D&D for years.
Years, a long
and
time.
when we realized that our original DM was okay, he wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, well, he's actually not a writer, so why don't you let me do a campaign? And then it
I'll
went
let
pretty
you do a
well, and then it just became.
And I brought this character along, this British
And
this,
so
like, obnoxious British
well, so
character.
basically, like I was playing D&D with a bunch of other people, and I'd set up this world, and I was like, well, I'm not just gonna ditch the world because building worlds is a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to use existing worlds. I like to kind of create my own
Yeah,
and then
neither.
work on it. So it's a lot of work. And I was like, well, what if I had 2 campaigns running simultaneously in the same world?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And it was really fun and so hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I don't think you guys understand how logistically difficult it was to do.
Yeah.
Just like
Because half the players came in late as well.
yeah,
that was the main thing.
keeping in my head the order of events as they were happening was the hardest thing.
Probably the funniest thing was like that first session when everyone was there. When it was like,
Was that the final battle? Or was that something different?
that was the first. It was the first session.
Oh, before you guys split off into 2 parties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like when we were all at one session. There were like 12 of us, and that was when we realized there's way too many people here.
Yeah.
So you kind of forced us to choose.
So I was like, you must pick a
like
side.
you have to pick a side.
You're either the good guys or the bad guys,
Pretty much.
and then you became these opposing forces in this way. And
It was so
it was
funny.
the most fun I've had, but the hardest writing I've
'Cause
ever
we
done
would
in my
just
life.
booby trap each other the whole time.
And like the hardest thing was you guys would get really shitty as to who was going
Done something
first.
first, yeah.
Because whoever went first determined who had the advantage. So I had
Yeah.
to like do 2 sessions with someone else, 2 sessions with the next one.
Yeah.
And I had to remember everything that I had. It was a lot of hard work.
It was basically doing 2 things that technically were happening at the same time, but doing them.
But one of them's already happened.
One of them's already happened.
Yeah, so
you had to
was-
like meld it
yeah.
together, and then when you go to the next session, you'd be like, by the way,
I'd also
you
have
were
to make
actually
sure that
dead.
you guys didn't talk to each other because you could then pass on. So the
Very
the people-
valuable information.
really, which would then, and so it was tough.
But we didn't
because-
want to because we had a huge advantage.
Yeah, but then there were people that were like they wanted to brag about their exploits to the other
we
party,
couldn't.
which would make my life fucking impossible. So like they were like, "Oh, guess what we did?" And I'm like, "No, they can't know
You can't.
because then it's like prior knowledge. They've
Yeah.
seen the future,
Yeah,
you know." So it was just really.
because we were against them. It was pretty competitive.
It was real. There was a battle scene at the end. There was a the conclusion of the campaign because it got to the point where like you guys had reached the pinnacle of this event.
Was I at that one?
Yeah.
I didn't think I was at the.
I don't know. You might not have been. I don't know. I
Did
think
you just make my character just do something?
no. I think you were there. I don't know.
I don't remember. Oh, I think we were.
It was that huge battle.
It was really funny.
Yeah, it was massive, and like I had you.
Oh, that was when there was like 200 people aside.
Yeah, and you were all in the
Like
same
the
room.
huge armies.
Yeah, and you had
Yeah.
they spent the latter half
they
of
were
the
like-
campaign assembling their forces.
Yeah, and they were
And-
like halfway through the battle. They were like, we summon an army of demons. We're like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
so basically, like at this point, their party had
Gone through
traversed
hell.
through the depths of hell, made a pact with Satan himself, or not Satan, but the ruler of hell at that time, for a demon army. It had cost. I don't want to spoil it too much because a lot of these characters are recurring villains.
Oh, really?
But it had cost a particular. Well, actually, you'll meet Redbeard, but
Yeah,
Redbeard is this demon king.
Yeah.
He's this half-orc giant who basically takes over the world with this demon army.
He was like the third party. Because he was basically against the party.
He was
in.
for himself.
Yeah.
and because he started off as this normal half-orc barbarian, and he slowly gained all these magical powers as he
Yeah.
went, and his party were eventually like,
He's
going insane, and he took over a kingdom, and like it just got worse, and it became this like, I didn't even do it on purpose. It just became this like snowball effect where he became the most powerful, this god character with this army, and the other party were like, what the fuck have you guys been doing?
Well, because the whole time we were collecting these like artifacts.
Yeah, the shields of power
and
for this particular
putting
kingdom.
back like fakes for them to collect.
Oh,
So they had all these fakes.
There was a stunning moment where a particular character from their party whipped out a shield to block an attack. This was during the final battle. It was the first time he used it. And it just crumpled in his hands, and it was made of cardboard, and he's like, what? he gets fucking fireballed off the map.
Yeah.
Collapses in a ditch. He's like burning alive, and he's like, it was a fake. I didn't even think to check. Like, he didn't think to check.
Oh,
it was
so funny.
And then there was another character who died. She had a hole blown through her chest, and she was revived by one of her party members, who then, because he was a necromancer.
Is that on our side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
was
revived
Liam,
her.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or Liam.
Liam. Everyone knows who Liam is.
Okay.
Liam revived this character, and Liam's sorcerer had this character like bound to him by will for the rest of the campaign, so he could just make her do what he wanted at any given time.
Yeah.
And he became like this weird.
He was also an obnoxiously, because he was in our party.
Well, he ended up becoming this messiah because he could raise the dead.
He also became this obnoxious character because he had all the artifacts.
Well, he also
bluffed us out of.
He also impersonated a king and ruled a kingdom for a while.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But he was just kind of this like, he was this silver-tongued, talentless genius, basically.
Well, Millsbury was funny because he had like, I particularly put him into like, I wanted to make an adventurer essentially, like adventure
in the purest sense of the word.
And there is an adventurer class, but it's boring and it's useless. So
it's like a hiker, basically.
Yeah. So I just made a soul knife with like 20 points in like knowledge dungeoneering.
Yeah, it was like a soul knife and a little bit of rogue as well.
Yeah, it was. There were two. It was a subclass. It was.
I think it was rogue and soul knife or something, or was it a sub? Or it might have been a subclass of soul knife that was like roguish. Or it was It was an arcane trickster and a soul knife. Or something.
No, it was soul knife, and there were like 5 points in arcane trickster.
Yeah,
which was my subclass, which I ditched later because it was kind of useless. The arcane trickster just gave me. It was basically rogue, but like magic.
Yeah, I think you ended up speccing into rogue or something. There was some.
No, it was arcane trickster.
No, I mean after the arcane trickster.
Yeah.
Like he became this character where like. You had nothing on but armor and a traveling cloak?
Well, literally just like leather armor.
Yeah, and that was all you needed.
That's all I had.
And like, I don't want to talk about him too much because he is coming up in the campaign. But like that idea of this character who...
I could like...
You see him and he looks kind of goofy, but the armor he's wearing is really expensive and it looks well used, but he's got no weapons on him.
He's got no weapons.
And that
so everyone
juxtaposition...
just assumes he's this weird homeless bum.
Yeah, and so the juxtaposition of that, he turns out to be this crazy, amazing fighter. And like, people will like confront him in bars and he'll just murder everyone.
Yeah.
And then walk away whistling.
There were numerous times
like,
where just everyone would die.
Yeah, like genius, like really compelling character.
Yeah.
I really liked.
He was a lot of fun to play.
I liked him enough that I decided to write him again. Like that's how much I liked it.
Oh yeah,
so he's in the new campaign.
He gets written into like anything that I ever do.
Basically,
whenever
he's
whenever
in
it's just like pick a character, I'll be like, yeah, you're Millsbury.
Yeah.
There's this like underrunning idea that he's actually just a trans-dimensional being.
Yeah, he lives
And
in the fourth dimension.
He lives in every single universe.
He has a lot of meta situations that happen as well. Where there are particular points where he rolls high enough sense motives. This was in the previous campaign.
Figures shit
that
out.
he works out he's in a game for half a second. Like there's one point
we broke the fourth wall a few times.
Once or twice, and I was like, never again. But like, kind of interesting that D&D allows that. So I mean, D&D is on. I could talk about D&D for fucking hours.
D&D is just.
It's one of the most interesting I think particularly as a writer, you spend so much time being in control of your work.
Yeah.
All the time. So I have to like decide what character says what when, how they say it, how I translate what they're saying into the words they're saying, and like how that plays off against what they mean.
Well, the thing that I find amazing with D&D is that like it's like playing swords with like fake swords with your friends when you were young, and like you're like playing like pretend guns with your friends when you were young, and you'd be like, oh, I shot you, and they'd be like, no, you didn't, I blocked with this. You'd be like, no, that's cheating. It's doing that, except there's a rule set.
Oh yeah.
So you can be like, I do this, which is ridiculous, and the DM will be like, that's dumb, but roll the dice anyway, and you roll a 20.
See if you can do it.
And
there's nothing
and
you
it'll
can
be
do
like,
about it.
all right, like I guess you did. Like, it's doing that, but then because it's because it's part of the system, it's just like, yeah, it sounds like you made that up and that it's dumb, but you can
Let's see if you can do it.
Yeah.
I think like as the DM, one of the biggest challenges for me is to like when something like that happens, I have to be able to immediately be like,
no, you have to be like, what will happen?
I have to be like, how would that actually happen? Oh, it's like this, and then this, and then I have to translate that into what actually happens, and then I have to play that against like you know, if you get insanely lucky and you roll a 20, so 20 is a critical success.
Yeah.
Well, there's different ranges of critical success for weapons, but like
Weapons
typically
are different, right?
on a check roll, so you roll a 20-sided dice, and if you get a 20, that's a critical success. So I have to be like, if I've got this enemy who you're trying to outbluff or something.
What's a super outbluff? Like,
Yeah.
what's like the most hardcore thing that could happen if you're bluffing this guy?
I think a good example of something that when this happened is that we were trying to, this was with the other party, I think.
Yeah.
I really don't remember at this point. They were it was so long ago. There were a bunch of characters that were trying to get into a city, and the city was on lockdown. The only people that could go in and out were merchants or the city guard.
That was our party, actually.
I think, yeah.
That was our party.
And so,
I remember this.
do you know what I'm leading up to? Because it gets pretty gruesome. It might have been you guys.
I think...
But there's a particular ranger character who goes, well, what if we impersonated a merchant? Everyone was like, that's a great idea. But, like, how would we do that? Because they know what all the merchants look like. Yeah. So then this weird plan formed to, like, kill a merchant.
Okay, well, that wasn't us.
Okay. So they were like...
We didn't do this.
They were like, what if we killed a merchant and then wore his skin?
Oh, God.
And I was like...
we just, like, climbed the wall to get
I
into
was
that
like,
city.
And I was like, that's never... You can't... I'm like, you can't skin an entire person.
I remember one of our old campaigns. You weren't the DM, where we had to incite the war between the two rebel factions. So we snuck into the kingdom. We snuck into the castle of one of the.
Oh, and we had that
leaders,
amazing set piece.
And we fucking like sliced his
I
nuts off.
gagged him with a scrotum. I remember that. Yeah.
We took his scrotum and then we mailed it, like fucking pigeon carried
right.
it to the other with a note. It's just like lick my nuts
That's
sincerely, like
Oh
your
my
opponent.
God.
And it's because we just had to like the objective at the moment was just like start a war.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right,
That worked. I
It
believe.
worked.
Yeah, that was amazing.
it's like
I
this
forgot
is
about
the
that.
dumb. We gagged him because I was playing a rogue, and earlier in the campaign, we came across this minotaur.
Oh god.
And I snuck up behind the minotaur, and instead of doing a backstab attack, which
You
probably
took his
could have killed
loincloth,
it,
right?
I was like, I steal his loincloth. And I like rolled a 20 and was like, yeah, you steal the loincloth.
Didn't that
straight
loincloth
off
end
him.
up in someone's mouth down a well?
No, that's
wasn't
what
it-
we gagged the king with.
No, but eventually wasn't an NPC stuffed, like gagged?
We murdered her and threw her down the well.
Yeah. I
She
thought
was quite pivotal to the story, and we killed her.
Yeah,
And
so
the
stuff
DM
like
was
that.
getting very annoyed.
Stuff like that is really bad DMing because, like,
That shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be able to do that.
well, you shouldn't want to.
You shouldn't like NPCs in general are just pretty unreliable.
Well,
in
you can- I
D&D,
mean-
because they die.
No, they're not because,
Or
like,
people kill them.
they're not because, like, your party should understand the rules of that party's like world.
Yeah.
So, like, if your party is an adventuring party, you're not going to kill your quest giver because that doesn't make any logical
She wasn't a
sense.
quest giver. She was just like,
Yeah, I know.
I'm coming with you, and we're like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
we shoved
so
her in the
it was
well.
the fact that he tried to.
Force it onto us.
So
we're like,
in-
this isn't our party.
So in D&D, I don't want to give it away too much because this is like a bit of the behind the scenes for you probably. 'Cause you probably never thought about this, but you have what are called hook points. So hook point is where like you have a thing. So you have reference sheets for different things.
Yeah.
So let's say it's like Ben's house. Ben's house has a reference sheet. It has background. It has contents. It has a floor layout. It has people that are in it. Those people's stats, stuff that they have on them,
yeah,
things you can do in that house, and the story behind the house.
yeah,
Then you have what's called a hook, and so the hook is like a reason that a party might go there.
yeah.
So, like, I could put Ben's house in any city, in any campaign, and you can just basically, like, take the hook and be like, oh, well, how does that apply to my party? So you can use already existing structures if you want to,
Yeah.
right? So the hook might be like, you're sent there to investigate, like, a robbery, and you suspect the owners have stolen XYZ from another merchant or something.
Yeah.
That's a hook to go there. So hooks for characters are a lot more complex, because, like, as a character... As a player, you oftentimes want to just try and fuck with the game,
Pretty
right?
much.
But you can't.
That's what we do,
But you
at
can
least.
only do it to an extent to where your character would actually do that.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily role playing in the purest sense, but it's like understanding that your character has motivations.
That's why Millsbury was so much fun.
Well, he had a very
His
strict.
motivations were very odd.
Well, he had that. But like for his character, they made total sense.
Well, yeah, because all he wanted was fame and glory into adventure. Like, all he wanted
That was
to do was
literally
just,
it. He just wanted
like,
to get into
he just-
hijinks and become
yeah, he
famous.
just wanted to, like, be famous and just, like, go into dungeons all the time.
Yeah, and fight.
So every time
all he
there
wanted
was
to do
just,
was
like,
fight skeletons
it was
and
just,
shit.
like, we could, like, talk to these people. We could, like, just go to the dungeon. Millsbury would just be, like, in the dungeon already.
He's just like I'm
He's,
in
like,
there.
already
He's already
there.
halfway through and he's
yeah,
like
he's
dying.
already, like,
and he's
solved all the puzzles
guys,
in the
I got stabbed.
dungeon. I need help.
I need your help.
Need a medic.
But that idea of like like constructing characters that you don't want to kill is really hard.
Oh yeah.
But
Especially
your
when
party, but like your party should know that they don't want to kill them because your characters don't want to kill them. So
Yeah.
if you write a character that your party wants to kill, you should have planned for the party to kill them.
Yeah.
Like you should know what's going to happen if that. So like if you killed one of my main NPCs, I have a contingency plan. Not
Yeah.
that you should, but like I have a plan that allows the story to continue in a different way.
Yeah. As it should, because
It's tough because the story exists for a reason, but you have to
Yeah.
like you have these plans
you
if
have to
this
play
does
around
happen.
with it.
It also requires a lot of like impromptu,
spot
like
thinking.
on the spot, like crazy,
Yeah.
to the extent where like there are things which will happen, and I'm like that does not fit in at all, and then I'll tie it in later, and you guys are like, that was so clever how that tied together. I'm like, yeah, I planned that the whole time.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
was written into the script. Definitely wasn't winging it and then trying to like retcon it later.
Yeah.
I did that's what Pokemon do.
That's all
Pokemon do that all the
Yeah.
time. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, we can probably talk about D&D more if you want. But yeah, like it's so much fun, and it's gonna be the kind of podcast that you probably shouldn't listen to in public because you'll end up laughing a lot
Yeah.
at random intervals.
Just have it in the
violently.
background when something's happening.
Yeah, do it in a,
Doing something
do
else.
it with people you trust because you'll laugh like an idiot.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of, but it's very violent laughter. It'll go from serious to funny quickly.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like sitting at your desk at work and then just burst out laughing like an insane person. So just be aware of where you're listening.
We could
to.
if you want to, I mean.
Oh look,
We can't judge.
if you want your other work
Want
colleagues
to
to
get
think you're
fired,
crazy,
whatever, I mean,
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
people can listen to podcasts at work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it depends what you're doing. I do data
that's
entry.
nice.
I listen to whatever I want.
Damn.
Yeah,
I'm looking for data entry
get some
jobs.
sick beats
Yeah.
going. Actually, I listen to a lot of hip hop. I'm big on rap because it's really good to listen to for writing because they do some kind of interesting stuff with the way that they construct meaning.
Sure.
Plus, like the way that they convert lyricism into anger is really interesting because it's like and then they do stuff like they'll have anger that's sad anger in a song that's all about tone. It's like tone combined with lyrics, combined with timing, combined with music to do one thing, and it's so complex, and you're like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I always enjoy that. Plus, I've always listened to a lot of rap, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of been informative for my writing as well. Plus, real gangster. Straight up, yeah.
Oh, God.
Just I'm the whitest
You're
person.
so
I know.
white,
I know.
dude.
It's crazy. I'm literally the whitest person I know. But yeah, I mean, definitely check out D&D. It'll be so much
Yeah.
fun. I'm already excited. I was excited writing the campaign. I was like, oh, it's gonna
Yeah.
be great.
If you want to play D&D, find a group of friends.
Yeah, and just
Get,
start.
like, yeah,
learn the rules, like peruse it a bit, watch some.
Yeah.
There's some really good tutorials.
The hardest part is making the characters.
You can kind of do it for your friends the first time. That's my advice, because it's really easy to get bogged down in making them the first time. But after that, making them is some of the funnest part.
Yeah.
So you initially want to be able to just hand them a sheet.
Well, even just like following the rules on how
Yeah, it's
a
really
character
complex.
is built.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
But there's some really good tutorials by Wizards of the Coast on their website, and then there's you can watch some sort of really good ones to watch. Or if you Google Patrick Rothfuss Dungeons and Dragons, he's just an author, but he's part of a lot of celebrity Dungeons and Dragons things at like conventions and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll sit on stage and they'll play Dungeons and Dragons, but they'll play like a loose fun version of it.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get the idea of how to do it while following the rules, but not getting bogged
Basically
down
how
in
we play
detail.
it.
Yeah. So it's kind of a good place to start. So if you look up Patrick Rothfuss D&D, but yeah, I mean, like it's a really good way. It's a really, really good way to just fuck around and have some fun, and it's
Yeah.
it's
not as
educational
it's
because
not-
you're not playing a video game.
It's also not as nerdy as people like. Well, no, it's still super nerdy, but
Oh,
like
Well, I don't
it's
know.
it's definitely transcended the whole like basement dweller game ideal.
Even though we're sitting in a basement right now,
Shut
we'll
up.
record this in a basement, and the studio is literally codenamed the basement in all of
That-
our communications.
Yeah, well, usually it's not played in the basement.
You can
sort
play
of
it at a
thing.
dining table. Like you don't need all the equipment. We use a chessboard and chess pieces because I can't afford
Yeah,
to buy
or
miniatures.
just like whatever miniatures you have.
Use whatever
if
you
you've
have.
Played War. Like, pretty sure most of the time I'm using like a friggin' Necron warrior
Yeah,
from
you can use
40k.
You can use like a grid paper instead
Yeah.
of buying a board. Like it's fun. It's really good practice for writing if you're in high school and you're not used to writing stuff. It'll get you in the habit of being creative.
Yeah.
So if you need to do like long papers and stuff at university, it's really good for getting that habit of being creative and producing stuff regularly. If you're the dungeon master. Otherwise, it's just fucking fun. Like it's just the most amount of fun you can probably have.
Plus, you'll like those stories that like you read online, like the guy that was the bear
Yeah.
and he just had a really high bluff stat.
Yeah.
and had like a servant that spoke for him. Like that had like every campaign has like numerous stories like that.
Redbeard couldn't speak for the longest time.
Yeah.
His intelligence was so low he couldn't speak. He could write because he had a pendant that made him be able to write.
Yeah, so he just write
So he had to
everything
write
down
all
on
his
a piece of paper
communications, and
just-
then eventually he gained the ability to speak because he became this god creature.
Yeah.
Who you'll meet later on, I promise.
joy.
He's around still, doing his thing,
Sweet.
taking over the world, one continent at a time.
Spoiler alert, the moment we meet Millsbury, he's going to be drinking tea.
I'm
No, that is actually what's going to happen.
trying to think if he does. No, you're right. He actually does.
No, yeah, he does.
No, I can read. Hang on. We're gonna quick
Because
preview.
he actually has the power to
Summon tea.
summon tea
At will.
at will, because we thought it was funny.
So I'm gonna give you. I'll give you a one sentence. This is like your.
I'm gonna judge it.
This is your
because
trailer. This is
because
your-
I am the guy who made
This is
Millsbury.
your D&D. Well, we both made Millsbury. Okay.
Yeah,
Context as well.
yeah.
Don't be
fair
like
enough.
that. It was a team effort.
I played Millsbury though.
Shut up. It was a team effort.
I controlled him. You
Okay.
built him. I piloted him.
Okay.
Like
So this is there's a bit of description before this, but I'll give you the 3-sentence sneak peek. He sits down and places a single scroll case on the table.
That sounds about right.
After a pause, he clicks his fingers and a mug of steaming tea appears in his hand.
Yep, that's right.
He sips quietly.
Yep, that's Millsbury.
There's your teaser.
Yep.
Actually, I'll give you another teaser for the folks at home. Actually no, because this isn't much of a spoiler. Basically, every D&D campaign starts in a tavern.
Yeah, you begin in a tavern.
It's just someone asked me a few months ago. They were like, "Why does that always happen?" And I think it's just a good, solid quest hub.
Because then you can drink. So if you want to start just a tavern brawl at the very start of the game, you can.
Which you guys do a lot. Please
we
don't.
do a lot.
Please don't. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it gets you kicked out of the city.
Or if you want to do what I do and just steal everything there.
No,
There's a lot of people there to steal from. It's a good starting point.
Yeah. But the campaign that we're playing is called Talenta Sorrows. So Talenta Sorrows is an extension of the world that we've been playing for many years. So there's a lot of content there. Lots of lore that you can get into if you want to. We'll eventually develop a database
Is this
for
the
that.
Blue Baron?
Or
is he like
I don't want to spoil too much, but there is a subheading for this session.
Oh god, Blue Baron.
I'm not going to say.
And what was the shadow one?
He was just called.
Oh, it was just the
that
shadow.
Was fucking dumb. That was our first DM who just. Yeah. But
the shadow.
No, I mean I'm going to say too much, but there is a Baron involved.
Is he blue? Is he the blue bear?
Blah, blah. So that's an inside joke. It's not very good for podcasting. I'll give you the. Actually, this is alright. This is not too much of a spoiler. We talked about this a bit before, but one of the opening paragraphs. And so writing this, I was like, I have missed this shit.
Yeah.
The tavern is dimly lit and bustling at peak hour. The party is seated at a table toward the back, with a decent vantage of the bar. You're a monster hunting company, hoping to take advantage of the blood wars that have given rise to all manner of infestations, and are awaiting a contract.
Dude, that's sick. Is the contract gonna come through the window on an arrow?
Oh, it should, right? And hit the wall and be like, doing,
Yeah.
and then roll out.
Yeah.
And you pick it up, right?
Come through on a brick.
So if you didn't get slight tingles at that, then you've clearly never played D&D before, but that just kind of...
Yeah.
Oh, it gives me the...
Whenever you're waiting for a contract, someone's gonna die in the next 5 minutes. Whenever you're waiting for something...
There's a body coming. There's always a body, right? It's like, you're waiting for something and someone died.
Yeah.
Or you're waiting to meet a contact and the contact gets killed.
Rocks
That's a pretty
fall,
common
everyone
one.
dies.
Rocks fall, everyone dies, yeah. But yeah, that's... Yeah, keep an eye out. We're so excited. I don't know if you can tell we're really excited.
Oh, dude, I haven't played D&D in ages.
I'm so keen. So check it out. This will come out around the same time if we do record next weekend. We'll see what happens with timing and stuff. But it'll be soon. We're really excited. Hope you are too. Check it out. It's probably our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Next to this. This is pretty close.
This is pretty fun.
This is fun, but I think that's D&D is...
D&D is something different.
D&D is a different league.
Yeah.
It's a different sport.
Yeah.
That's going to do us for today. So you got a bit of half and half there. You got half DCM works. You got half D&D.
Woo!
This is we're like the hype man for the D&D podcast.
Yeah.
We're standing behind him. We're like, hey, yo, here comes D&D.
Here comes the sickest beat drop.
You're the worst hype man ever.
I wasn't born to be.
You're like, guys, coming up next, we got a dungeon.
Be a really good college radio.
It's a dungeon dragon. You would. We should. I still want to do something like that. Not a college radio show, but like a radio show of some kind. Yeah. I just feel like we have
Like
the
a really
right...
generic British one where it's just like, coming up next.
Coming up next on the Mystery Hour, the mystery of the stolen
Oh my God.
bench.
just like old like 50s aesthetic mystery.
And you have like a slight crackle, like this.
Yeah, the
background.
radio crackle.
Yeah, and
Oh,
like every
man.
time he goes quiet, you can just hear like the gentle crackling. It sounds like someone sipping a straw or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to do us for this podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening as always. This was just us nerding out about D&D, to be honest.
It's pretty consistently.
Which is honestly basically most of our... This should be most of our time. It's not anymore, but it will be,
Yeah.
I assume.
Knowing about something.
Yeah. So, we'll do the plugs again, even though you probably know who Ben is by now. Twitter,
Yep.
Potasto.
Potasto.
Fucking still can't
You
say
don't know
it.
how to spell it. It's
Potato-
potato twice. The second one has an S in it.
It's potato.
Potato.
But it's in the description.
Yep.
Down below. I pointed down below. It's no webcam.
Just down there.
I did the. Don't
down
say-
there.
Thanks, Ben. I did the thing that I always do if I'm doing
You
a
do on
vlog, where I
vlogs.
point to the description.
Yeah.
No camera.
Remember those times where like the description used to be like there, and then they moved it there, and like the title used to be there, but now it's up there.
Yeah.
And like the subscribe button's been like there,
Oh,
and there.
YouTube need to get their shit together.
It's so consistent.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, check that out. Obviously, if you think the show is worth at least $1, feel free to donate to our Patreon. Helps us out.
The subscribe button used to be above the video, and you
Oh,
used to
yeah.
be able to change it.
Yeah.
You used to be able to put a custom graphic on the
I forgot about that.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense that they kept that.
Got rid of that shit.
Yeah. But yeah, so wherever you listen to this, feel free to give us a rate. It really does help. I get all that analytics through the tool that we use for the podcast.
Totes my goats helps.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, and it also lets us know you care.
Aww.
It's nice. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment. If you have any questions, I didn't do this last time because I'm terrible. I'll have to retcon it in. But if you have any questions, email us at podcast. I shouldn't say. I always say that email us at, but that's not. Email us. Our email address is no, hang on. Which one is it? Podcast@dcm.works.
There you go.
I was like,
You can say email at
I was
podcast.
like, yeah, I know. I was like, the admin email address is not for podcast
Yeah.
questions. Feel free to send them there. We'll ignore them. The podcast ones we will answer, not the admin ones. That's a different account.
Yeah.
It's something entirely different. But yeah, so feel free to do that. We would love your questions about anything we do. Tune in for the D&D podcast. Big time. We're excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put in a little trailer after this. If we've recorded the session by then, I'll put in some snippets of that so you can get a quick sneak peek of what that's going to be like. And
Sneaky
potentially the theme song for that as well, which we've been working on.
Theme song.
I know. We have a theme song for this. It's great. You've heard it,
yeah,
right?
we
You're,
do,
you're in
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tune in for all that stuff. Tune in for the Necessity of Hendrix. Check out DCM.works. We'll be going live soon. I just don't know when. And yeah, that's I think that's about us.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
The soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah.
The visuals are very, like, well done. And, like, the gameplay is super fun. And, like, because those three things are there, it's, like, it's exceptionally good.
I could do it in a heartbeat and make millions, but it would feel like just gouging my soul out.
Yeah. Jurassic Park's a little more like DDR.
If Shrek is a fairy tale creature, can he actually own land and want to kick them off? Where did that come from? You have to make a lot of shit up to make good art.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it.